Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I'm Tom Betts, your host, and this is season 9, episode 8, number 148. Today we're going to discuss the history of the Spaghetti Westerns, our ongoing feature. It's in a cult shadow, or in the shadow of a cult. Who are those guys? We're going to talk about the Zampa brothers. Whatever became of is going to be Sancho Gracia, not Garcia, Gracia. Film of the week is a bullet for Sandoval. I've got an autograph. I've got a book of the week, actually two. I've got some posters, and then we'll discuss the CD and album of the week, which will be the corresponding recordings for the two films we're going to talk about. And then we'll wrap things up with the weekly news. And by the way, Italian director Roberto Genesi has given us an update on his Western 20 Years for Revenge. You'll recognize certain scenes from the George Hilton, Franco Nero, and Anthony Stephan films. So stick around after we finish today's episode for a special surprise on his new spaghetti westerns. So let's get started, and we're going to talk about the history of the spaghetti westerns in a cult's shadow. Okay, in a cult shadow, this is a 66 Italian-Spanish co-production. The Italian title is Al Ombra di una Cult. The Spanish title is Plazo para Morir. English titles, like I said, are either in a cult's shadow or in the shadow of a cult. It's directed by Gianni Grimaldi. It's actually Giovanni Grimaldi. Screenplay is by Giovanni Grimaldi, Maria del Carmen Martinez Roman. Cinematography is by Stelvio Massi and Julio Ortas. It's an Eastman color and chromascope. The music is by Nico Fidenco. There's a couple of songs in the movie. One is Finché il mondo sarà, sung by Nico Fidenco and I Cantori Moderni. That's the Alessandroni quartet. Also, I Can't Cause I Gotta Kill. It's because I can't caught because I gotta kill. It's sung by Richard McNamara. If you haven't heard it, it's one of the great songs of the genre. Running time is 82 minutes. The main actors are Steve Blaine, played by Stephen Forsythe, Susan Buchanan, played by Ann Sherman, Duke Buchanan is played by Conrado San Martin, Fabienne is played by Helga Linné, Harold Jackson is played by Frank Russell, and Burns played by Frankie Liston. Some other names you'll recognize in the cast and in the film is Jack Jackson is played by Remo DeAngelis. Buck is played by Graham Sudi, who we talked about before. His real name is Virgilio Gazzolo. The sheriff is played by Pepe Calvo. Oliver is played by Andrew Scott, Andrea Scotti. Ramirez is played by Aldo Sambrell. The bartender in the movie is played by Tito Garcia. And you'll also see the hardware store owners played by Felipe Urmaneta. Also in the cast are Jose Marco, Zandas Bolas, Javier de Rivera, Sancho Gracia is in here, who we're going to talk about later, Alvaro de Luna, and Guillermo Mendez. And the master of arms in the movie is also Remo DeAngelis. The story goes is after rescuing a Mexican village from a gang of harassing outlaws, professional gunmen Steve Blaine, Stephen Forsythe, and Duke, Conrado San Martin, separate. Duke, the older of the two, has been wounded in the battle and gives his fee to Steve to take to his daughter. He knows that Steve is in love with his daughter, Susan, played by Ann Sherman, and because the girl does not want to live the life of a wanderer in constant danger, he asks Steve not to see her afterwards. or he will have to kill him. Steve does not believe the threats of his friend and says he will give up the gun altogether for the girl he loves. He changes his life and decides to become an honest farmer. Steve and Susan come to Providence, where the young man decides to buy a farm of which two powerful, unscrupulous bankers, Harold Jackson, played by Franco Russell, and Burns, played by Frankie Liston, have long been eyeing. When the two realize that Steve is winning the game against their henchman and sent to drive him away, they then use Fabienne to seduce Steve, but he rejects her. The two men then hire Duke, but Duke does not take long to realize that Jackson and Walsh have decided to kill the survivor of the battle. Steve then gives Duke a hand in killing all the assassins and their devious bosses. After the battle is finished, the two are again reunited in friendship. Okay, talking points. Another of those small genre gems, another of those small overlooked gems of the genre. It has an excellent score and a couple of gimmicks thrown in. Steve Blaine, for instance, likes to gun men down by shooting behind his back. Town Father Burns is paranoid about being shot in his left hand because he's already lost his right in a previous gunfight. Helga Lannay is wonderful as the treacherous Fabienne, Duke's love interest, who secretly prefers Steve and vows revenge after he is rejected by him. Excellent opening scene with two gunmen killing a band of Mexican outlaws led by Aldo Sambrell, who have been terrorizing a village. They have been paid a fee and is reminiscent of the Magnificent Seven. The premise of two friends even thinking of one killing the other to prevent his daughter from marrying a gunfighter is a bit much of a stretch for me. This also can be categorized as an often used premise of the older gunman as a father figure and teacher to his younger protege. The heart of the film is rather slow and plodding, but it's worth wading through to witness the great action scene at the end, which is truly spectacular. Director Grimaldi plays homage to Leone with a stretched out build-up to what is supposed to be a duel, but suddenly flows into a large-scale showdown. The town set, as you can see here, is Golden City from Fistful of Dollars. The film is available on Blu-ray from Germany, on DVD from Germany, the United States, Italy, Brazil, and Japan. And if you're still a VHS collector, it's available from Germany. Okay, in actor profiles, we have Steve Blaine, played by Stephen Forsyth. Stephen Forsyth is a Canadian actor born in Toronto on September 23rd. I can't find a specific year that he was born, but I'm guessing around 1940. While he was working in Paris as a singer-songwriter in the 1960s, he took a short vacation in Italy. While in Rome in a cafe on the Via Veneto, he was approached by a photographer who asked him if he could take his photograph to send to Gillette because they were looking for someone to do their print ads and television commercials in Europe. Forsyth ended up with an exclusive contract with Gillette. He then hired an acting agent for his first film, which he was offered the lead. Before starting to shoot the film, he was offered another part in a romantic comedy, which was a big commercial success and served as a big boost to his movie acting career. Later, he was unhappy with the roles he was being offered, so he quit acting around 1970 and returned to his native Canada, where he started a new career as a music composer. He suffered two major strokes in December of 2018, which left him in a wheelchair. He's probably best remembered for his role in Hatchet for a Honeymoon in 1970. Forsyth appeared in two other spaghetti westerns, Death at Owl Rocks in 1966 as Lawrence White, and Blood Calls to Blood in 1968 as Andrew Willoughby. Then we have Susan Buchanan, who is played by Ann Sherman. Her real name is Anne Maria Polani. She was born on March 24, 1947 in Bologna, Emilia-Romagna, Italy. Here she top billed. She appeared in 11 films and had made her debut in 1964's Hercules Against the Moon Men, starring Alan Steele. She appeared in one other spaghetti western as Queen Mycia in 1964's Lost Treasure of the Aztecs. Then we have Duke Buchanan, played by Conrado San Martin. He was born Conrado San Martin Prieto in Higuera de las Dueñas, Avila, Castilla y León, Spain on February 20th, 1921. He appeared in over 136 films from 1941 to 2015. He also produced 2 films. He was an amateur boxer, theater, and TV actor. Conrado was married and had 5 children. He founded Loris Films in 1954. San Martin appeared in 8 spaghetti westerns. We covered him more extensively in episode 132. Baby Ann was played by Helga Linné. Helga Lena Stern was born in Berlin, Germany on July 12, 1931. She was a circus acrobat, dancer, model, film, TV, and voice actress. She appeared in over 140 films and TV series from the 1940s to 2006. She was often billed under various spellings of her name, among which were 6 spaghetti westerns. She was married and has 2 children. Today she's retired. We covered her in depth in episode number 133. Then we have Harold Jackson, played by Frank Russell. That's actually Franco Russell. He was born Domenico Orobona in Naples, Italy on February 8, 1925. He was a stage actor who made the switch to films in the early 1960s. With that prissy face, he was perfect for playing crooked bankers, crazies, and town bosses. He appeared under such aliases as Franco Russell, Frank Russell, Walter Frank Russell, and Ray Russell. He's best remembered for his role as Hardy Stengel in 1969's Stabata. He appeared in 14 spaghetti westerns and died in Rome on April 30th, 1985. He was 60. We previously covered him in episode number 98. And last but not least, we have Burns, played by Frankie Liston. He was born Franco Lanteri in Catania, Sicily on August 21st, 1928. He appeared in 12 spaghetti westerns and was also billed as Frank Landers and Frank Linston. He appeared in some 30 films and TV series from 1955 to 1978. Among his 12 spaghetti westerns, among those were 12 spaghetti westerns, like I mentioned before. Lantieri died in Milan, Italy on November 24th, 1991. He was 63. Okay, now let's move on to who are those guys in the Zamperla brothers? Okay, another of the families of stuntmen and actors are the Zamperlas, Nazareno and Ronaldo, and sister stunt woman Anna Maria, who was born in 1945 and died in 2023 at the age of 79. She did not appear in any spaghetti westerns. She was the wife of the famous Master of Arms Riccardo Petrazzi and the mother of Gianluca Petrazzi and Francesco Petrazzi, who are also stuntmen and coordinators. Nazareno Zamperla was the better known of the two and the youngest. He was born in Treviso, Veneto, Italy on April 25, 1937. He was an assistant director, master of arms, and special effects specialist, stunt coordinator, stuntman, and film actor. Between, let me just get back there again. Like the Del Aquas and Akmars, the Zamperlas were circus performers. Nazareno appeared in films between 1953 and 2003. He performed stunts in 115 films and acted in more than 50 films. He also worked in 22 films as a stunt coordinator, fencing instructor, and master of arms. He was good friends with Juliana Gemma and is often seen in several of Gemma's films, including Blood for a Silver Dollar, where they play brothers. His sword and sandal films include La Strada and Ben-Hur. In the 1960s and 1970s, he transitioned into appearances as an actor in front of the camera, and his focus shifted to spaghetti western productions. Nazareno was sometimes billed as Nick Anderson, Nino Zamperla, and Tony Zamperla. He appeared again in 22 spaghetti westerns. Along with Franco Fantasia and Goffredo Unger, he was among the first of the generation of stuntmen who worked through the cycles of historical swashbucklers, peplums, Eurospies, spaghetti westerns, and crime films of the 1970s. Nazareno was married to Mila Zamperla and has his sons Mirko and David, who followed their father into the business as stuntmen and stunt coordinators. Nazareno Zamperla died in Rome on March 19, 2020, a month short of turning 83. Then we have his brother Ronaldo, who was born in Treviso, Veneto, Italy on March 14, 1932. Like his brother, he was an assistant director, stunt coordinator, master of arms, stuntman, and film actor. Ronaldo's career spanned 1960 to 2005, where he appeared in over 160 films, performing stunts and acting in supporting and character roles. Like his brother, he started out in sword and sandal films and then spaghetti westerns. Ronaldo appeared in 61 spaghetti westerns in various roles, nearly tripling the number his brother appeared in. He's usually seen as a henchman, gang member, and brawler. With his mustache, he looks much different than Nazareno, but when clean shaven, you can see the family resemblance quite clearly. Ronaldo died in Rome on September 27, 2011. He was 79. Okay, that does it for the Zamperla brothers. Now we're going to move on to whatever became of, and it's Sancho Gracia. Okay, Sancho Gracia was born Felix Angel Sancho Gracia in Madrid, Spain on September 27, 1936. He started his acting career in Montevideo, Uruguay, where he lived from 1947 until 1961. In Uruguay, he was an acting student at the Multidisciplinary School of Dramatic Art. He made his movie acting debut in France in the 1963 film L'Autre Femme, opposite Annie Girardot. Since then, he went on to appear in more than 80 motion pictures, including several Hollywood productions during the 1970s and into the 1990s. Gracia also worked in Australia, performing as a regular cast member in the 1982 television series Runaway Island and in the 1991 made-for-TV film Pirates Island. He also participated in the Oscar-nominated Mexican film The Crime of Padre Amaro in 2002. In 2003, he was nominated for the Goya Award for Best Actor for his performance in the 2002 film 800 Bullets. If you haven't seen this film, I encourage you to do so. It's great. In addition to motion pictures, Sancho Gracia made more than 60 guest appearances on Spanish television shows. He became famous in Spain for the role of Curo Jimenez in the television Española drama series of the same name that was broadcast from 1976 to 1979, being rebroadcast several times since then. In 1969, Sancho Gracia married Noela Aguirre Gomensoro, the daughter of an Uruguayan National Party politician with whom he had 3 children, including Rodolfo. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of a controversial subject here, but during the shooting of the film 100 Rifles in Spain in 1968, Gracia tried to have a romantic affair with American actress Raquel Welch, who at the time was married to producer Patrick Curtis. Either Welch seduced him or he mistook her advances wrong. Both are conflicting stories. Anyway, the story I heard was during the filming, he showed up at her hotel room with a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. She let him in, and the pair was soon caught by Raquel's husband, producer Patrick Curtis. It's also said Curtis slapped Welch and chased Gracia out of the hotel while brandishing a pistol. Anyway, according to Aldo Sambrell, he told us, several of us, he was the peacemaker and was able to save the film by having Gracia's role reduced to village leader and soothing Patrick Curtis's feelings and temper. The truth lies somewhere in the mix, as Raquel supposedly had several affairs while married to Curtis with actors Richard Burton and Elvis. Sancho Gracia died of lung cancer on August 8, 2012 in Madrid. He was 75. I'll post the filmographies for the Zamperla brothers and Sancho Gracia on Facebook and uh, YouTube after we post this episode when it's finished. Okay? Now we'll move on to the film of the week, and it's A Bullet for the General. Okay, the film of the week, A Bullet for Sandoval. This is a 1969 Italian-Spanish co-production. The Italian title is Que disperate che pusano il sudore di morte, while the Spanish title is just called Los Desperados. The English title, and one of them is probably the Italian translated title, Those Desperate Men Who Smell of Dirt and Death, also called Blood for Blood and A Bloody Job. UK titles are Vengeance is Mine and The Desperate Men, while the USA title is A Bullet for Sandoval. The director is Julio Bux. His real name is Julio Bux Garcia. Screenplay is by Julio Bux, Federico de Urrutia, Hugo Guerra, and Jose Luis Martinez Mola. Cinematography is by Francisco Semperi. It's in Eastman color and chromoscope. Music is by Gianni Fario, and it runs 108 minutes. The story goes, well, let me give you the main cast here first. I'm sorry. The main cast is Corporal John Warner, played by George Hilton, Don Pedro Sandoval, played by Ernest Borgnine, Lucky Boy is played by Alberto de Mendoza, Friar or Father Converso is played by Leo Ancares, Sam Paul is played by Antonio Pica. Other names, there's quite a few of them in the cast you'll recognize, is Guadalupano, played by Gustavo Rojas, Guarico, Will, or the only One Eye, Johnny One Eye, played by Jose Manuel Martinez Perez. General Jackson is played by Jorge Rigau. Captain Parker is played by Vidal Molino. The Confederate Corporal is played by Lorenzo Robledo. Mexican rancher who shows up as Tito Garcia. A Mexican foreman is Luis Barbu, and the mestizo is played by our friend Dan Van Heusen. The story goes, during the final months of the American Civil War, a Confederate soldier, John Warner, played by George Hilton, deserts his post when he receives word his girlfriend Rosa is about to deliver their son. When he and two fellow deserters arrive at their home village, they find it is suffering from a cholera epidemic. Warner makes it to Don Pedro Sandoval, played by Ernest Borgnine, his hacienda, but finds out Rosa has died of the cholera. Sandoval blames Warner for his daughter's death and throws him and his newborn son into the street. Traveling on, Warner picks up a band of followers, but they are turned away everywhere they go because of the cholera until his son dies of starvation. Warner, now an embittered outlaw, raises a gang and seeks revenge on Sandoval and all who refused his son food. Sandoval and Warner finally meet at a bull ring where they have a knife duel, but Sandoval is gored to death by a bull. Warner and the gang are trapped in the middle of the bull ring by a garrison of Mexican soldiers and executed in a scene reminiscent of the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This is a very different spaghetti western, as the plot is unlike almost any other in the generation. The viewer really feels for Warner and his baby son, and Hilton really demonstrates his acting abilities in the beginning of the film. Two versions are available on DVD, but most of us have only seen the cut version, which does not show the relationship between Hilton and Sandoval's daughter. Also, there's some confusion on who actress Annabella Incontrera plays. I've read one of the cut scenes that is about 6 minutes long goes as such. After Sandoval has described the gang, Warner has gathered around him. The gang enters into some abandoned fort or compound, and they encounter a party of 3 people there. Senator Rhodes, Carol Day, supposedly Incontrera, and their escort, Lieutenant Farrell. Farrell fights with and is about to kill Morton, but Warner shoots Farrell in the back. The senator and Carroll offer the gang $2,000 if they will be their escorts to some Union mine, and Warner says he'll sleep on it. During the night, One Eye tries to rape Carroll, but Warner stops him and spends the night with her himself. So Encontrera plays the part of Carol Day, not as often written as Warner's woman. The second missing scene, which is 2 minutes, is described as Warner's gang is preparing to leave the fort, and Warner says they'll leave the senator and Carol behind and will not take the money. Carol gets angry and doubles the offer, which makes One Eye interested, but Warner stops One Eye from leaving the gang, and so the gang leaves the fort. Once his son dies, the film turns into a more normal revenge western, with Warner determined to wreak havoc on the people who refused him assistance and food. He blames them for his son's death. To accomplish his goal, he surrounds himself with a band of unscrupulous rogues and outcasts like himself. Borgnine dominates every scene he's seen in and gives a wonderful performance. An excellent score by Johnny Ferrio really adds to the somber tone of the film. You'll notice that the bull ring is the Madrid bull ring, and if you look carefully, you can spot electrical lights and cables in some scenes. Of course, the bigger the screen, the more it becomes apparent. This bull ring was also used in the prison escape scene of Indio, and for a few dollars more when they shoot the warden and several of his guards. Okay, actor profiles, and most of these we've covered before, but Corporal Jake Warner, played by George Hilton. Jorge Gil Acosta y Lara was born in Montevideo, Uruguay on July 16, 1934, and died in Rome on July 28, 2019. He was 85. Hilton was a theater, radio, film, TV, and voice actor and grandson of writer Manuel Acosta y Lara. He was married to Maria Teresa Tarantini and the father of Elizabeth Lily Hill, born in 66. She died in 1987. And Georgia Hill, born in 68. He co-founded 3G Productions and appeared in 22 spaghetti westerns. For more information, watch our special episode on him, episode number 19. Don Pedro Sandoval was played by Ernest Borgnine. Hermes Ephraim Borgnino was born in Hamden, Connecticut on January 24, 1917, and died in Los Angeles on July 8, 2012, from renal failure at the age of 95. He was a theater, film, and TV actor. Ernie was married 5 times and had 4 children. He was an Academy Award winner for Best Actor in 1956's Marty. He appeared in 5 Euro Westerns, and we covered him previously in episode 109. Lucky Boy is played by Alberto de Mendoza. Alberto Manuel Rodriguez Gallego Gonzalez de Mendoza was born on January 21, 1923, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was a theater, film, TV actor married to Mabel Taboas from 1942 to 1947 and father of 2 children and a stepfather of 1 other. He appeared in only 3 spaghetti westerns and is best remembered as Tomas in The Forgotten Pistolero. He died in Madrid, Spain on December 12, 2011 of respiratory failure at the age of 86. Then we have Father or Padre or Friar Converso, played by Leo Anchorage. Mariano Leopardo de Ancares Bustel was born in Almeria on September 22, 1929. He was a writer, film, and TV actor. As Leo Ancares, he appeared in 11 spaghetti westerns. He died from heart disease on February 17, 1987 in Madrid at the age of 58. We covered him previously in episode number 103. I always thought he looked a lot like Frank Wolf. Then we have Sam Paul, played by Antonio Pica. Antonio de Santissima Trinidad Pica Serrano was born in Jerez de la Frontera, Cadiz, Andalusia, Spain on March 21st, 1933. He was a model, film, radio, and TV actor. Pica appeared in over 60 films since his career began in '66. He worked with Sophia Loren and Christopher Plummer and is known for his roles in Delusions of Grandeur in '71, Travels with My Aunt in '72, and The Killer with a Thousand Eyes in 1974. Pica was married 4 times and had 5 children. He appeared in 14 spaghetti westerns and died at 81 in El Puerto de Santa Maria, Andalusia, Spain. Okay, let's move on to the CD and LPs of the week. Okay, In a Cult Shadow was done by composer Nico Fidenko, who we've already covered in episode 113. So if you want to know more about Nico, go to that episode, again, number 113. The soundtrack was released, first of all, in 1966 from Italy on a 45. Of course, there's only 2 tracks on a 45. It was released by RCA Records, number PM 45-3340. The value of that 45 today is anywhere from $4 to $24, depending on condition. Then it was released in 1986 in Italy on an LP on RCA Records SP8014 with only 7 tracks as a compilation album with a listing time of 14 minutes and 1 second. Very rare. It's valued at anywhere from $240 to $327. It was re-released in '86 with the additional numbers. Its value is only $20 to $44. Unfortunately, I only have the re-release, so I'm not a rich man. In 2007, it was released on CD out of Italy. On GDM Music, number 2086 has 21 tracks, listing time of 51 minutes and 44 seconds. Its value is $9 to $33. There's the CD. I do have a copy of that. Okay, A Bullet for Sandoval was composed by Gianni Ferrio, who we covered in episode number 108. It was released on an LP in 1970 out of Italy on Cinevox, number MDF 33/29. Has 22 tracks, listing time of 34 minutes, 10 seconds. Value is anywhere from $4 to $250. Then it was released on CD in 1998 out of Italy on Cinevox, number CD MDF 317, 23 tracks, listing time of 39 minutes and 17 seconds. Its value is anywhere from $9 to $11. Then it was released in 2009, again from Italy, on CD, on Digit Movies, on CD DM 149. This one has 40 tracks of music, listing time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 25 seconds, and its value is anywhere from $9 to $25. So that's what we have on the CD and LP of the week, and I guess you'd say 45 of the week. Okay, let's move on to Autograph of the Week. Okay, my Autograph of the Week is by an actor not associated with Westerns or spaghetti Westerns, but it's the great Irwin Keyes. He was born in 1952 in New York City. He died in LA in 2015. He was in 2 European Westerns, Oblivion in 1993 and Backlash in Oblivion 2 in 1994, where he played the character Bork. I asked him how he liked making films in Romania. He shook his head and said it was a really bad experience. The food was terrible and it was cold, but it was an experience for sure. Okay, let's move on to Book of the Week. I have 2 of them this week. Okay, I mentioned these before in News of the Week, but I ordered them on Amazon. Told you I'd tell you about them once I got them, and I got them this week. First one is a coffin for the killer. It's also called A Coffin for the Killer. 100 Western Posters is by G.H. Janis. Came out in October of 24 by Bonefire Books. It's got 108 pages in English. Who cares? Because it's all posters. The only thing I can say that I don't really care for the book is they're just regular paper. They're not glossy paper, but it's got posters you won't find anyplace else. I think the book cost 24 bucks. Then in February of this year, Volume 2 came out, and this is A Coffin for the Killer. Same thing, full of posters, 108 pages. What writing there is in English, and I got them off of USA Amazon. They're both available right now. So I got them within a week. So anyone looking for poster books, which are hard to come by because they were made in Italy and Japan, this is a chance to catch up on posters. Okay, now let's move on to Tom's Poster Attic. Okay, first one I've got for you is a Belgium poster for In Occult Shadow. Always decent poster art. I've also got the Japanese poster for, always got those from subscribers for the fanzine. Last but not least is a Croatian or Yugoslavian poster for A Bullet for Sandoval. Okay, let's wrap things up with the news of the week. Okay, sorry to say, but this is going to be mostly Boot Hill section. This is 2 weeks old now, so there are going to be quite a few that have happened in the last 2 weeks. But first of all, we have a new British Blu-ray of Chado's Land, excuse me, directed by Michael Winner and starring Charles Bronson and Jack Palance, made in 1972. This Blu-ray was released on March 24th on the Final Cut Entertainment label. It's Region B. It's in English with English subtitles. Running time is 100 minutes. Then we have a new German re-release of Leichen Flastern Seinen Weg, which is The Great Silence, from 1968, directed by Sergio Corbucci and starring Jean-Louis Trintignant, Frank Wolf and Klaus Kinski, and Vanessa McGee. This was released on the Film Jewelen label on March 27th. It's a 2-disc media book edition, 4K, Ultra HD, and Blu-ray, with German, English, Italian, and French, and German subtitles in German, English, and French. It's the same release as the January limited edition release without the 20-page booklet. Okay, now we get into our Boot Hill section. First of all, we have Swedish author, producer, film, and TV actress Maria Gustafsson, who died in Stockholm, Sweden on March 23rd. She was 78. She was also known as Britt Gustafsson. Her early career as a model and actress culminated with the popular Spanish quiz show Un, Dos, Tres, Responda otra vez. She had the female lead in the series Vivere e los que importa and appeared in roughly a dozen films. After studying TV direction and production at New York University, she worked on the Spanish version of Sesame Street and was the international coordinator of 321 Contact, both co-produced with Children's Television Workshop. She published 5 books. Maria was an ex-wife of actor Dan Van Heusen and was married to director-writer Miguel Luch, who was born in 22 and died in 2016. They were married from 71 to 2016. And she's the mother of author Elin Luke Barnes and cinematographer Misha Luke. Maria appeared in one spaghetti western as a saloon girl in 1968's Cemetery Without Crosses. Next, we have the great Angel del Pozo. Spanish actor Angel del Pozo died on March 29th in Madrid. He was 90. He was born Angel del Pozo Moreno in Madrid on July 14, 1934. He debuted in the cinema in 1960 with Una Bruta para Patricia as Luis. After playing supporting roles in several films, he began his best remembered work in spaghetti westerns, appearing in more than a dozen titles in the 1960s and 70s. In the 1970s, he debuted as a director, shooting 4 films. At the end of the decade, he decided to withdraw from the world of entertainment. From the 1990s to 2008, he had been working in executive production and public relations in Just Vision Telecino in now Mediaset in Spain, manager of the television stations Telecinco and Cuatro. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Almeria Western Festival in 2020. He is survived by his daughter, journalist Almudena del Pozo Angel. Appeared in 15 spaghetti westerns and is probably best remembered as Shep in 1965's The Big Gun Down with Lee Van Cleef and Tomas Milian. Then we have American actor Dennis Arndt. He died in Ashland, Oregon on March 25, 2025. He was 85. He grew up near Seattle and was drawn to the theater as an adolescent at the prompting of a charismatic drama teacher. He served as a helicopter pilot in the United States Army during Vietnam, earning both a Purple Heart and a Commendation Medal. Arndt appeared in one Euro Western, Banditas, in 2006 as Ash. Then we have veteran French director Yves Boisset, died in Levallois, Parat, Ile-de-France, France. On March 31st, he was 86. Boisset began his career as an assistant director. After working with such directors as Hossein, Chiampi, Melville, and Clement, he began directing short films until the late 1960s when he made his feature film debut. Boisset frequently contributed to the scripts he shot and is known for his fast-paced action adventures and his social and political thrillers. He sued Arnold Schwarzenegger and 20th Century Fox over The Running Man, which he believed had plagiarized his film Les Prix du Danger, and won the lawsuit. Boisset was an assistant director on the 1966 spaghetti western Death at Owl Rock, directed by Ricardo Freda and starring Mark Damon, and directed the 1995 TV Euro Western film Red River, starring Christophe Malevoie. Then we have Sean Barbara Allen. She was an American actress who died in Chapel Hill, North Carolina on March 31st of Alzheimer's. She was 78. Allen began her career after accepting a scholarship at the Pasadena Playhouse. She landed her first on-screen credit in the series O'Hara U.S. Treasury in 1971. In the 70s and 80s, Allen had numerous roles in popular TV shows, including The Waltons, Columbo, The Rockford Files, Hawaii Five-0, Gunsmoke, Marcus Welby, M.D., and The Incredible Hulk. In her final film work, she starred alongside numerous stars, including Patty Duke, Rosemary Murphy, and Richard Thomas in You'll Like My Mother in '72, Betty Davis in Scream Pretty Peggy in 1973. She is the older sister of writer Meg Pockris. Allen was married to actor-lawyer Peter Burr Gelblum from '79 to 2001, and they had a daughter. Allen appeared in one Euro Western as Esther Spencer in 1973's Billy Two Hats with Gregory Peck and Desi Arnaz Jr. Then we have British classical actor Lee Montague, who passed away in London, England on March 30th. He was 97. He trained at the Old Vic School and worked in the early part of his career in the Royal Exchange Manchester, the Old Vic Bristol, Old Vic, and Oxford Playhouse. Moving into film, he worked with great directors such as Zeffirelli, appearing in some 30 films, including Moulin Rouge in 1952, Billy Budd, Brother, Sun, Sister Moon, and Jesus of Nazareth. In the 1970s television, he had long runs with Sweeney, The Bergerac, and Seconds Out. Montague appeared in one Euro Western as Peppy in 1961's The Singer Not the Song. Then we have Val Kilmer. I don't believe that you knew he was in a couple of Euro Westerns. Val Kilmer, the charisma-oozing leading man who lost himself portraying such tormented, self-loathing characters, died April 1st in Los Angeles, California, of pneumonia. He was 65. Born Val Edward Kilmer, part Cherokee, Irish, German, and Swedish, he was born on New Year's Eve, 1959, in Chatsworth, California. Kilmer came to fame playing the competitive naval aviator Tom Iceman Kazansky alongside Tom Cruise in Tony Scott's '86 mega box office hit Top Gun. He was also lauded for his roles as Jim Morrison in 1991's The Doors, Doc Holliday in 1993's Tombstone, and as Batman in Batman Forever in '95. The screen icon was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014 and underwent surgery, including a tracheotomy. Actually, he had 2 tracheotomies, which significantly impacted his ability to speak. In 2011, Kilmer sold off most of his 6,000-acre ranch outside Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he had lived for decades. Survivors include his son Jack, daughter Mercedes, whom he shared with ex-wife Joanne Whaley. Val appeared in 2 Euro Westerns, Dead Man's Bounty in 2006 as the Wanted Man, and as Mark Twain in Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn in 2014. I read earlier this year that he was going to be in a movie based on Mark Twain, and if you recall, he did a one-man live performance of Mark Twain, so it makes sense. The Espolga City Facebook page posted this week that Spanish actor Juan Ferran Ferre, known in wrestling and film worlds as Johnny El Corso, passed away on March 31st. He was born in Barcelona and was originally a wrestler like many other wrestlers who made it into films. He was appreciated in the cinema for obvious reasons. He arrived in the mid-60s and participated in about 20 westerns as a stuntman and supporting actor. His imposing physique led him to fight hand-to-hand with Juliana Gemma in The Long Days of Revenge. Ferran appeared in 17 spaghetti westerns. Okay, this has been a Roberto Genizzi production. Oh, I'm sorry. Speaking of Roberto Genizzi, I've been corresponding with him, and he produces our podcast, as you know, and he's been working on editing and putting the final touches on his spaghetti western, 20 Years for Revenge. He still has no clear path to when it's going to be released because he's been working with the Italian censors to have it certified, but he invites you to watch his trailer, which he sent overnight to Jay, who's going to post it and show it to you at the end of this podcast. So until the end of, let's start all over again. Until we meet again, this is Tom Betts saying adios, amigos, and stay tuned for the trailer that Jay's going to show now. Thank you very much, buddy.